Hey football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around to talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and yeah, we got some free agency news today, a lot of free agency, so let's get into this video. Beforehand though, if you're not already, please consider going down, hitting that subscribe button, as well as hitting the bell next to it so you never miss a single video here. It helps the channel a lot. Also, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're over there. Feel free to go check us out. With that all being said and done, though, let's get into our first topic of the day. Starting off the free agency video by basically talking about help for the offensive line, right? Cade Mays going down was a big no-no, big upset, right? And the big question now in everyone's mind is this going to derail the season? I certainly think it could. I think a lot of our offense revolves around a competent center. We saw it with Frank Ragnow. When the play action can move smoothly, when the inside protection is done well, Jared Goff does his thing. It's just how it works. But we saw what happened with Graham Glasgow and a mediocre center handling the ball and handling that inside, leverage. So what do you do? What do you do as Brad Holmes in this situation, right? There's more question marks to the offensive line. There already were. We know a few things. We know Penei Sewell and Blake Miller got the tackle spots, right? Mahogany and Ratledge are currently the guard guys, and that's what makes up our current offensive line. But then who fills in the center spot? Amid the question marks, Bleacher Reports Mo Moton linked the Lions to former Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl champion Mekhi Becton. He thinks that this is where he's going to go. And I honestly don't hate it. While he's not necessarily a center outright, he has the qualities that could make a center, right? He's 6'7", 363 pounds, and he's transitioned from tackle to guard, so he does more inside work now than the outside stuff, right? Immediately, okay, we can maybe transition you over to center. Becton, he's 27 years old, still good age, right? Kind of in his prime right now. He won a Super Bowl at the Eagles in 24. He was their starting right guard for that time, and he was absolutely great at what he did. Run game, run game, run game. Bang. We want to run the ball. He does our thing, right? He was the guy who was moving bodies all around the place. He was the mauler, and he wasn't a bad blocker as well when it came to that pass protection. So kind of like shouts out perfect fit at the moment, right? However, there is one issue that stands out. It's the fact that Becton didn't have a really good last season. Period. It was actually pretty bad. And if you need to upgrade your center right now for the first few weeks, bringing him in, is he going to have what he used to have, right? He allowed 3 sacks last season, 36 total pressures, and he had a brutal 79th out of 81 grade of all offensive guards in the whole league. So he was the third to worst guard in the whole league. Okay, well, maybe not then, right? While he was one of the worst guards in the league last season, there is still a chance that the Lions take that chance on him to upgrade the depth a little bit, and you go for that spark that he used to have, right? Hoping for that spark isn't a horrible idea, that maybe you can rekindle some of what he used to have on a team that's competing, especially when it's only a temporary fix. You could take that chance and not have to worry too much about it long term or the commitment stuff, but personally, I don't mind it. I'm just really worried because grading third worst guard in the league last year doesn't exactly scream placeholder center for a team that wants to win a Super Bowl. That's what I hear, but you guys can let me know. And if you think, period, we need to do something about the offensive line now that Cade Mays is hurt, or do we just go internal with who we already have? Now for our second topic of the day, I'm talking about free agency, but not us getting somebody, more of us letting somebody go. And it's a guy we just recently acquired. Because if we need to get another guy, there's a good chance we're going to have to make a trade or maybe give somebody up to clear some space. Whatever, right? And the guy who I think we need to move on from, it's a guy we've talked about quite frequently in the last few videos, is one of our edge rushers who we brought in for depth and to be one of the guys that really does his job really well and get at the quarterback. And even though he's got that 1-year deal and it seems like it was going to be a great fit, things are not going so well for veteran Peyton Turner so far. Quote, if the Lions are happy with their edge depth early in the preseason, Turner would be a logical trade candidate. This was, end quote. This was from Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox. He wrote, quote, he only showed occasional flashes in his first 4 seasons with the New Orleans Saints. and he missed last season with the Cowboys with a rib injury, but the 2021 first-round pick does not have the sort of alluring draft pedigree that will still interest some teams, end quote. So that's the other issue, right? Since he's kind of dealing with injuries right now, since he's kind of not as attractive as a trade offer, because it's like, well, why would the Lions go acquire him so early if he's one of those bigger names in free agency just to give him up after they've seen what he can do? That's got to raise some red flags for sure. During that campaign in 2024, he had 21 combined tackles, including 3 for loss. He also registered 4 passes defended, which is pretty cool. 3 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. So certainly a good pass rusher when he's doing his thing. And that's what it is, right? There's definitely value there. You look at those numbers and you can see, okay, there is something to deal with here, right? But those injuries do stand out, and especially with what he's dealing with right now. NFL teams also don't typically trade high-profile free agent targets months after they've been signed already. Turner inked his contract with the Lions in March, so he's been around for a minute at this point. Seems like a guy I would move on from now before he becomes a problem and we have to make decisions about moving on from him mid-season, right? We don't need another Marcus Davenport situation where there's a guy never playing taking a roster spot just for the hope that maybe he can do something and rekindle what he had a couple of years ago. I know we just kind of talked about that with the same case with the O-line, but at least if you go out and get this other guy, he's not injured and he's not dealing with issues that are out of our control. That is my thinking around this. I just think Peyton Turner, it was a good chance to take on a guy, like definitely had the potential, but at this point, maybe cut your losses and allow another guy to get on that roster when it rolls around. That's just my opinion. You guys can let me know. For our third topic, more Terrion Arnold stuff. Finally saw it pop back up in the news. So free agent cornerback Terrion Arnold has made his rounds since we released him back in June, but since he's been moving around doing his thing, more and more teams have been looking to grab his talent. The latest team to do so are the New York Giants, who are trying to conduct due diligence, welcoming Arnold to the team facility on Wednesday, according to Jordan Schultz of the Schultz Report. Arnold was in Seattle on Sunday, and then he was in New Orleans on Tuesday after he had that previous visit with the Texans weeks prior, right? So he's been moving around, and it's not just like crappy teams either. It's not like he's running to the Browns, the Dolphins, for teams who are just looking to take a chance on a guy because they need the help. Seattle, Super Bowl defending champs. New Orleans, building a little something there. Texans, one of the best defenses in the league, looking at him, right? And then you go and he's getting looked at by the Giants. Definitely need some help in that aspect, and why wouldn't they go grab a guy like Arnold if he gets cleared of these charges? He is scheduled, however, for his arraignment hearing later this week as well. The third-year player faces 4 felony counts, each of armed robbery and kidnapping, if you did not know, after his June 24th arrest in Tampa, Florida. A conviction could bring a life sentence. So there's also a lot on the table in that regard, but remember, he's got a pretty good lawyer, and they're making a pretty good case for him. I will have more updates on the trial when it begins/ends, when we get the verdict. I'm sure you guys will know before I tell you, but we will still have those updates for you. There's a good chance that he doesn't get jail time. He might get a fine. He might get suspended from the league, whatever. There's going to be some sort of punishment, but there's a good chance it doesn't involve jail time. In that case, he is going to probably return to one of these teams we've mentioned before too long, and if he ends up getting exempt or whatever by Roger Goodell and he doesn't play the season, you bet your butt that he will be back the next season when a team just kind of sits on him and waits for him. It's basically just having an extra player with first-round draft pick potential just sitting in the rafts for the next season, and you can make other moves knowing you already have him ready to go. So I'm sure he'll be on another team if he gets off, but we just have to wait and see for what ends up happening there. I honestly don't know where he's going to go. Like I said, my bet would be the Jets. They're still a team who's looking at him. He hasn't had a workout with them yet, but it just makes too much sense, right? The Jets take a lot of chances on guys, especially in the secondary. They used to have a pretty deep secondary, and then they let Sauce Gardner go, right? So it's a little weaker, and then we got DJ Reed from them. But it would just make sense then for him to go with a coordinator/head coach he's worked before already with Aaron Glenn. It just kind of makes sense. Aaron Glenn's also a former corner. He knows what he's getting out of Terrion Arnold, and if they're already saying they like him and they're pursuing him in a way, I would assume that they are looking to try to get them on their team. Again, we will wait and see, but you guys can let me know what you think's going to happen with Terrion Arnold in the next couple of weeks. For our fourth and final topic, kind of a trade-off, right? If Turner ends up getting let go, if he ends up getting cut, or a different player who's kind of in a similar situation as Peyton Turner gets let go, who do you replace? Well, in the case of Peyton Turner, it would be another defensive lineman. I'd want the 1-for-1, and there's a guy that kind of sticks out to me right now. He is another pass rusher to make the roster if their heads turn to a D lineman out of Houston right now. A veteran such as Folorunso Fatukasi. He could be an option for Detroit right now. I know. Really easy name to say. But dude is a dog. He's a potential target because he did visit us and work out for us on Friday. According to the NFL Transaction Wire as well, Fatukasi, along with 2 defensive backs, Ryan Cooper and Anthony Kendall, tried out for the Lions to begin the weekend as well. Fatukasi has 90 games of NFL experience. He's also started 64 games in his career, including 55 from 2021 to 2024. Got a bit of a resume going for himself, for sure. Last season, he combined 8 tackles, including 1 for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks in the 4-game span for the Houston Texans. So he didn't necessarily get a lot of time to showcase his abilities, but in the time, he did manage to get 1.5 sacks and 2 quarterback hits, and also those tackles, great stats, especially when you get 1 for a loss. So where is he at really in his career right now? I think it's kind of a similar situation with Peyton Turner. He's not going to be the every down guy. You're going to want to use him on situations where you know he's going to excel, right? But what he also does, besides just being on the team, he's a mentor to our rookie guys on the D-line. He's also he's going to be one of those players where obviously not a every down guy, but when called upon during reps, I'm sure he's going to be one of those guys who can stand to the occasion and do his thing. What does he do well, though? Stops the run, and that's exactly why he is an attractive option for the Lions. We know we like to go after guys like this. He is renowned as an elite pass rusher, or not pass rusher, an elite run stopper, and just a space eater. He gets in those gaps, and he just makes it impossible for running backs to get any space, right? He is a trenches guy. He excels in plugging gaps, absorbing those double teams, and anchoring the middle of the defensive line. He would work really well with Aiden Hutchinson and also Derek Moore, since, it's like you got to think about it. The first option is going to be to double team Hutch, but if you got Derek Moore and he starts cooking, we can't double team Hutch because now we got Derek Moore, but then you got this guy who's handling double teams. Oh my gosh, like I said, it's not going to be every down, but certainly good third down potential in this guy, and I really, really kind of like the ideas of where you could plug and use him, right? He anchors the middle of the defensive line well. His hand placement and shedding is also what makes him super, super dangerous in that defensive line. He utilizes those strong hands, very active, very fast, and they've continued to get faster over the years, and he uses them to do the thing he does best. He moves offensive linemen. It's not like he's just trying to squeeze in between guys. He moves offensive linemen. He controls leverage extremely well. And then he's also good at disengaging and following plays, not just trying to brute force your way, bull rush your way into the quarterback, right? I think that's a really good, ability to have in a player that sometimes is really overlooked. And that's the reason play action passes end up working so often with players who can't read the play that well. I would think that this is the guy who probably still has a little left in the tank for another season on a team that is competing for a championship. It's one of those situations where I'm not just playing to, get my bag anymore. I am playing to get a championship. And while the bag is important, and he will get one, it just seems like a perfect opportunity on a team that could use another defensive lineman, maybe needs one out the door, and he kind of does everything we need a defensive lineman to do right now. Makes sense to me. I would definitely take a chance on this guy, but you guys let me know what you think. With that being said, we're out of time in this video. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Lions Latest. If you made it to this point in the video, please tell me what you thought about my free agency targets, what you guys think about them, and if there's anyone else in the NFL right now you would like to take a chance on. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss a single video here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.